So tonight we're going to finish out chapter 7.3. This is part 2. We're going to do some more properties of exponents. Tonight what we're going to do is raise a product to a power. So that means if I take two variables multiplied together and I raise it to a power, I'm going to show you what to do with that. And they give you some examples here. So like 3x, that's a product, to the fourth power. They both get the fourth power. Then you do 3 to the fourth, and that's 81. And you can't do x to the fourth because you don't know what x is, so you leave it x to the fourth. So 81x to the fourth is what you get. Over here, 3 halves goes to the 4, and 3 halves goes to the b. 4 to the 3 halves, b to the 3 halves. I can do 4 to the 3 halves, but I can't do b to the 3 halves. So 4 to the 3 halves becomes 8. B to the 3 halves stays because I can't do anything with it. So just to give you like another example, let's do 3n to the negative 6 to the negative 4. So it's almost like distributing. You distribute the negative 4 to both in the parentheses, and you get 3 to the negative 4, n to the negative 6 to the negative 4. You have to remember all your rules here. So 3 to the negative 4, we're just going to leave that for right now. I know we can't have a negative exponent, but let's just leave it until the end. And then n to the negative 6 to the negative 4, that's power of a power, so you multiply and you get positive 24. Now, 3 to the negative 4. I cannot have the negative exponent, so what's going to happen is I'm going to actually move it to the bottom and make it a positive. And then after I've done that, I can do 3 to the 4th. That's 81. So n to the 24th over 81 would be the answer. And that's kind of a hard one. These are pretty easy up here, and that's kind of a harder one. And I'll do some more examples. So here's an example kind of related to geometry. What I want is to figure out the area of that square if the side length is 5x to the third. So the area of a square, and that's not all the way around, that's not 5x 4 times. That's the whole inside area of the square. So to find the area of a square, you can do side times side, which is side squared. Side times side, so that's side squared. And in this case, that's going to be 5x cubed, the side length is. So we're going to square that. And that's going to square the 5 and square the x to the third. So that's 5 squared is 25. X to the third squared is x to the 3 times 2, which is 6, not 3 plus 2. So 25x to the 6th, that's actually going to be D. Okay? Alright. I want you to try 2. Here's a product of a power. You're going to have to do 7 to the third, and then m to the 9th to the third. And then you're going to do 2 to the negative 4, z to the negative 4. And since the exponent's negative, don't forget to push it to the bottom. Okay, pause it, do your 2 answers, and catch up with me. Alright, example 4. What is the simplified form of n to the 1/2 to the 10th power, 4mn to the negative 2/3 power to the 3rd power? So it's kind of confusing. So you're just going to take it one step at a time. First, we got to do exponents first, of course, so let's just handle this part, and then we'll handle this part separately. So I'm going to kind of separate them with the underlining. So a power of a power here, that's going to multiply exponents. So 10 times 1/2. Now, 10 times 1/2, what's 1/2 of 10? 5. So n to the 5th. Now that part's taken care of. Let's take care of that part. That's going to be 4 to the 3rd m to the third n to the negative 2/3 to the third. So I'm going to write that out because I feel like if we try to do it all in our head, we're going to get confused. So if I write it out, maybe we'll see. So we're going to keep n to the 5th, 4 to the 3rd. You can go ahead and do 4 to the 3rd. 4 times 4 is 16, times 4 is 64, so we'll put it 64. M to the 3rd. Now here, that's power of a power, so you're going to multiply exponents. So that's going to be negative 6 over 3, which will end up being negative 2. Or you can cancel the 3's and you just get negative 2. Okay, now that's a crazy looking answer. If it looks crazy to you, it's probably not simplified all the way, so you got to keep going. But you always want the number out front, so we'll move it out front. And then if you have any like variables, you need to see if you can combine them. So that's n to the 5th times n squared. Product of powers is where you add exponents. So you're going to actually do n to the 5 plus negative 2. And you don't have to write that out. 5 plus negative 2 is 3, so you can just go ahead and put 3. I just wanted to remind you of how to do that. And that takes care of all of those, and the last thing we have to do is the m to the 3rd. And that's it. You're finished. That's the answer. Now these problems look hard, but they're not. You just really have to take your time. If you can do the small problems, you can do these. You just got to take your time. Alright, your got it questions. Of course, go back and look at the one we just did. Remember your rules if you have a negative exponent. Remember your rules if you have a fraction exponent. Product of powers, power of a power. Remember all of those rules. And if you need to, go look at the other videos and pause it. Do number 3 and number 4 and catch up with me. Okay, so example 5 is a real world question. It's about aircraft engineering, and this is a STEM question, so science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So if you're interested in all that, this would be a good problem for you. And it's a word problem, which you all love, I know. It says the expression 1/2 mv squared gives the kinetic energy in joules of an object with a mass of m kilograms traveling at a speed of v meters per second. So they want to know the kinetic energy of an experimental unmanned jet with that mass that it says and the speed that it says. So really all it is plugging in. So I'm going to take the formula that it gives me, 1/2 mv squared, and I'm going to plug in what it says. So it's 1/2 mv squared. M, mass, says with a mass of that, so I'm going to replace m with that, 1.3 times 10 to the 3rd. V squared, so V is here, 3.1 times 10 to the 3rd squared. And then this part's not really necessary. This part over here is not really necessary anymore. I'm just going to simplify all of this, and I'm going to get my answer. Okay, first things first, I have to deal with my exponents. You know, order of operations says parentheses first. Well, I could do that, but I don't have to. I want to keep it in scientific notation, so I'm going to keep the scientific notation like it is. Then exponent, so the squared. So I'm going to keep that, and then we're going to square both of these things. So it's going to be 3.1 squared, and you can go ahead and put that in your calculator and get whatever 3.1 squared is. But I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to put 3.1 squared times, and then 10 to the 3rd squared, that's going to be 10 to the 6th. So parentheses, exponents, multiplication. We want to multiply all the way across it. If you'll notice, this is multiplication, this is multiplication, this is multiplication. It's all multiplication all the way across. So you can just multiply everything together. But what I want to do is keep it in scientific notation. So I'm going to multiply the 10s together. So 10 to the 3rd times 10 to the 6th is going to be 10 to the 9th. You're multiplying powers, so you add the exponents. So it's going to be 10 to the 9th. That takes care of those. And then I'm going to multiply all this stuff together. And I'm going to multiply it. Put I'm going to write it in the front. So it's actually going to be 1/2 times 1.3 times 3.1 squared. And that is 6.2465 times 10 to the 9th. And if you'll remember about scientific notation, it has to have a ones place and nothing bigger. So we got that taken care of. And then times 10 to the whatever power. So we're good. That's the answer. It doesn't say to round or anything, but so we'll just keep it like it is. Okay, one more guided question. It's going to be almost the exact same thing of what we did before, same formula, and I'll write it down again for you so it'll be on this screen. It's 1/2 mv squared, and I want you to plug in your m and your v. And then simplify it and make sure it's in scientific notation. And that's the last answer that you need to turn in tomorrow at the beginning of class. Okay, pause it, finish the answer, and catch up with me on the next page. Okay, if you have any questions or comments, make sure you email me at richards.emily@hcboe.us. You can Remind 101 chat with me. You have to be signed up, so if you need to sign up, you text at Miss Rich A1B to 80101. No, 81010. And then you can also go and ask me questions on our Facebook page. The classroom Facebook page is facebook.com/Miss Richards Classroom. And make sure you like that page so you can get updates. Also, while you're on the Facebook page, make sure you participate in the class discussion. I'm going to put a discussion question up there, and I just want you to comment on it up underneath it. And it's not required, but it will give you bonus points on your participation grade. Alright, make sure you have your 5 answers to your guided questions for the beginning of class, and I will see you tomorrow.